So the next question is related to reverse charge mechanism. Students want to know that in which cases a service receiver is liable to pay taxes.
So it's a very lengthy one. Reverse charge mechanism, section 68(2), read with service tax rules. So service tax rules, you have to look into Rule 6 in particular, section 68, subsection 2 of Finance Act. So what do you mean by reverse charge mechanism? Just now I was telling you. A service provider is providing service to service receiver. Because this is indirect tax, service receiver will pay service charges and also service tax to the service provider. That is the logic. So under law, service provider is liable to pay service tax. For example, you are using mobile. The service provider is Airtel. So Airtel is providing service, mobile services are being provided, and the Airtel company is collecting mobile bill as well as service tax from you, and together, all the amounts together, it is depositing with the government because it is convenient to collect and pay at one go. But there are certain cases Government of India identified where it is convenient to collect from the service receiver directly. Anyway, service receiver's pocket is empty. So instead of roundabout way, service receiver to service provider and from service provider to government, it is direct. So the indirect route is made direct. So the service receiver is receiving service and he is paying directly to the government. Means he is paying service charges to the service provider and service tax to the government directly. It is like a direct tax. It is almost like a direct tax. He is consuming services and he is paying directly to the government. So this phenomena is known as reverse charge. But there is a long list, there is a big list of reverse charges, and there is partial reverse charge mechanism also. And the reverse charge mechanism is partial or total. It can be like this. Say for example, if you receive service from a goods transport agent and you are a consignor or consignee as specified under the rules. Suppose you are a limited company or you are a corporation or something like a registered firm, registered factory or cooperative society or society under Societies Registration Act 1860, like that. Then if you receive service from a GTA, goods transport agent, a broker, transport of goods by road. So he is not liable, GTA is not liable, but you are directly liable to pay. Similarly, sponsorship services. If you receive any sponsorship services from somebody, you are a body corporate or a firm, then you are directly liable to pay, not the person providing sponsorship services. And like that, many more things. For example, you have imported services from outside. You have received services from USA. So, government will not go and collect from the USA people. They will collect from you. Even if you receive services from Jammu and Kashmir, and you have to pay service tax under reverse charge. Like this, there are so many cases in which reverse charge is payable. And partial reverse charge mechanism also there. For example, works contract. In the case of works contract service, 50-50. If the service provider happens to be an individual, a non-body corporate, and is providing service to a body corporate, then in such a case, he will pay only 50% and 50% will be paid by body corporate. Like this, partial reverse charge mechanism is also there.
So the next question is related to comprehensive approach of the service tax and the negative list.
It's a very beautiful question. I don't know whoever has asked this question. I congratulate. So this is the crux, the base of the service tax. You know, earlier, service tax was on restricted basis, restricted list mechanism. Restricted list means in the beginning they started imposing service tax. They initiated service tax imposition on free services. They started increasing the number and also increasing the rate of service tax. Finally, they have come down to around 125 plus services. So they have defined each service, and they say that is a restricted list. Only on those 125 plus services, service tax was leviable and chargeable and payable, and nothing else. So they have switched over to comprehensive system of taxation in the year 2012. From July onwards, 2012 July onwards, they have switched over to comprehensive system of taxation. So comprehensive means what they did was the individual services definitions irrelevant. They have thrown them away into dustbin. Simply they have defined service. What is the service? They have defined under new section 65B, clause 44. And they have defined service as some activity for consideration, etc. So if some activity happens to fall in the definition, that is a service for the purpose of levy of service tax. And in addition, they have added some list, 9 services, 9 activities list they have added. They said these are declared services. Means government has declared 9 services in addition to the definition of service. So suppose you have some activity which is for consideration, which fits into either section 65B44 as per the definition, or which fits into a declared service as per section 66E, then it is a service. And if it happens to be provided in taxable territory, for that specific rules were there, place of provision of services rules. So check up whether you have provided any service as specified under section 65B44 or under section 66E, that is declared service, then your tax liability arises if it is provided, if it has been provided in taxable territory. Whether the service was provided in taxable territory or not, how to find out? Look at place of provision of services rules 2012. So they will guide you. So then again, when is the tax liability? There is point of taxation rules 2011 to guide you, to pinpoint the point of taxation. So with the help of this, you will be able to find out whether tax liability arises. If so, when? Then accordingly how to plan. So what they did, they have said that all activities which fit into these, that is under section 65B44 and 9 declared services, then it is a service and you have to pay service tax if it happens to be in taxable territory. But they have also seen there are certain activities which should be kept out of the purview of the service tax, particularly parliamentarians or services provided by government or government agencies and say United Nations foreign diplomatic missions or Reserve Bank of India, etc., etc. There are certain services like education. They have seen there are certain services on which they should not collect tax. It is for 2 reasons. Maybe that activity is falling under state list. When it is falling under state list, they cannot collect tax on a central law. They should not. Say for example betting, amusement, betting activity, amusement, etc., etc., agricultural activity, etc. So they are under state subject. So they should not, central government should not poke their nose. So they are not. And there are certain things on various grounds, just like statutory functions. For example, passport office is providing some service. It is issuing passport to the applicant. They should not collect tax on that. Like that, they have seen certain charities, etc., etc., they don't want to collect tax. So they have put a list, separate list, which is known as a negative list under section 66D. So all services as per the definition, section 65B44 plus section 66E minus those services declared, so those services under the negative list. How many? There are 17 services, 17 services right now under the negative list. So, all services minus the services under the negative list are taxable today. So, this is called comprehensive taxation system. Earlier, restricted system, only restricted list, only 125 plus services were taxable. Today, all services taxable except those in the negative list. So, by virtue of this, what happens? Every activity becomes taxable except those in the negative list. Right? So, on these negative listed services, there is no levy. There is no levy. So, let me also add, in addition to this negative list, they have also issued a mega exemption under notification 25 by 2012. So, under the mega exemption list, government has been given power to grant full exemption on certain services which the government thinks fit. And they have also provided, government also has been given power under section 93 of Finance Act to grant partial exemption through abatement scheme. And government utilized that opportunity and issued another notification 26 by 2012. So if you look at the scheme as a whole, if you provide some activity which is fitting, which is a service as per the scheme, it is taxable until and unless it is in the negative list. And even if it is taxable, no tax is payable if it happens to be falling under mega exemption list. Okay? Suppose it is not in the negative list and it is not in the mega exemption list, but still maybe partial exemption is available, you have to look into. If the partial exemption is available, then you can avail partial exemption and pay. So the scheme is the negative list, mega exemption and partial exemption abatement scheme. Like this, they have carved out the new scheme, which is known as comprehensive system of taxation. Under this comprehensive system of taxation, all activities, all services are taxable other than those in the negative list. Done?